Hello guys, welcome to my channel. The less is more. So today we will discuss an editorial from Indian Express, and it is about disaster risk that we we are facing day to day frequently. Okay, so let's start the editorial. A leaders underscored at the G20 summit in New Delhi yesterday, ahead of the United Nations General Assembly SDG summit in New York next week. The world stands at a critical juncture. Risks are being created faster than they are being reduced. The aftershocks of the COVID-19 pandemic, combined with the polycrisis of war, debt, and food insecurity, are putting our collective ability to cope to the test, and all against the backdrop of the climate crisis, driving the extreme weather events that are occurring more frequently and with greater intensity. The rise in disaster is a trend, not an aberration. Headlines this year alone have brought a relentless wave of bad news across the world, from severe flooding in China to destructive wildfire in Europe and Hawaii to the hottest month ever on record in July. This is set to become the new normal if more action is not taken. And perversely, it is the most vulnerable countries and communities which are paying the greatest price despite having contributed least to the problem. The majority of the 50 countries most vulnerable to climate change also suffer from severe debt issues. India, already among the world's most disaster prone countries, is experiencing this new reality acutely. In 2022, the country was battered by disaster or extreme weather nearly every day. While this year's severe monsoon has caused widespread loss of livelihood and lives, we have the solution at hand. Yet there is also good news. First, we have the solution for both adaptation and mitigation at hand. The SDGs remain our best blueprint for peace and prosperity, together with commitments made in Paris to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius, and the global framework for reducing disaster risk. The Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction. 8 years into the implementation of the Sendai framework, progress is severely lacking. However, in May this year, UN member states committed to accelerate resilience building with renewed urgency. Many lessons are being learned from the COVID-19 pandemic, including on the importance of systems-wide disaster risk reduction, resilience and adaptation. The crisis not only revealed our vulnerability to risk, but also forged new ways of working together, including through digital innovation such as computer modeling and India's COVID digital vaccine system. Another reason for optimism is India's steward on disaster risk reduction. All the 28 states have prepared their own disaster management plan in recent years. Accordingly, mortality from extreme weather events has fallen drastically in recent years. India's early warning system for cyclones covers the entire coastline and has helped reduce cyclone-related mortality by 90% over the last 15 years. While heat wave action plans at the local level have reduced heat wave deaths by over 90%, the recent zero death toll of Cyclone Biparjoy in Gujarat demonstrate what can be achieved through effective preparedness, response and early warning and action systems. In fact, there were rays of joy amid the disaster, as hundreds of babies were reported to have been born to women who had been transported to hospitals and shelters for safe delivery by the government before the cyclone. So there is a zero death toll, and we have achieved zero casualties during this Biparjoy cyclone. The 15th Finance Commission in India introduced significant reforms to disaster risk financing, with a total allocation of $28.6 billion at the national and state levels for a period of 5 years. The Government of India has provided sufficient resources for disaster preparedness, response, recovery and capacity development. On the international stage, India is promoting disaster resilience and sustainability, including through the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, a global partnership for building resilience in infrastructure. India's National Disaster Response Force responds to domestic disaster and is also regularly deployed to disaster zones around the world. Importantly, India's ongoing G20 presidency established the first ever work system on disaster risk reduction. The Disaster Risk Reduction Working Group is aligned with the SDGs and reflects many of our shared priorities. The transformation we need, disaster risk must be integrated at all levels into how we build, how we invest, and how we live. One of the most cost effective risk reduction methods is early warning system for all, spearheaded by the UN with India's support. Just a 24-hour warning of coming storm can reduce the damage caused by 30%. Yet over a third of the world's population, mostly in least developed countries and small island developing states, do not have access to such systems. The ultimate goal is global multi-risk warning system for all kinds of hazards, whether biological, technological. Improving global data capabilities will help us predict sorry sorry Improving global data capabilities will help us predict and respond to the risk we are facing. Improving global data capabilities will help us predict and respond to the risk we are facing. We commend India's G20 presidency for its progress on knowledge sharing, joint data infrastructure, and risk analysis. Finally, we need to ensure that no one is left behind. We must enhance international cooperation in disaster prevention, response, and recovery, especially for the countries of the global south. The G20 summit and the outcomes of the disaster risk reduction working group are an opportunity to design a future where we are equipped to withstand disaster risk. As UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said, extreme weather events will happen, but they do not need to become deadly disaster. So, this UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said, extreme weather events will happen, but they do not need to become deadly disaster. Okay. So let's see the new words, 5 new words. The first is Biparjoy, cyclone, zero casualty, achieved, babies were born, to women who had been transported to hospitals. Okay, so these were the 5 new words that I would like to use in single statement also. Okay, so please comment in the comment section the 5 new words that you would like to use for yourself. Okay, so till then, bye bye, signing off for the day.